I was there. I was actually just talking to Hulk Hogan about that earlier today.
Yeah.
It's my favorite match of all time.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's one of my favorite too as well.
I'm guessing that's your favorite that you've worked?
There's so many. It's favored in a certain way. I mean, it was just the way. I think that match. Everybody, a lot of guys like Chris Jericho, even he had the main event that night with Triple H, and he was saying all day that match should be put on last.
Should have. And a lot of people forget that was on third last.
Right.
Because that was on
Women's.
Yes, the three-way match with the women's, and then it was Jericho Triple H.
Right. And the crowd was just, the energy was taken out.
Of course.
After that match. And it was just, it's such an incredible match. Like, back then, did I know it was going to be one of the most memorable matches in my career or in, Rock's career or in Hogan's career? No, we didn't probably realize that. There was a lot of expectations of that match to come through. It wasn't going to be some high jumping off the top rope technical wrestling match. It was just old school wrestling.
Yeah.
Push off, shove off, shoulder tackle, Hulk up. It was just great, and they executed that match just to the perfect T. And in the beginning of that match, just from the entrances, and when Hogan hit that when he came out of Gorilla, and I'm sitting in that ring, I'm standing in that ring, and I just got goosebumps, man. It's the way the Toronto crowd, and Canada is such an awesome place to work because they respect wrestling so huge,
Yeah.
They almost respect it almost at the same level as hockey, I think, almost.
It's pretty close.
It's pretty close.
I was telling Hogan this. Like, I was going into that match fully intending to cheer for The Rock. The Rock's my guy.
Right.
And then Hogan's music hit, and I went, I'm a Hulkamaniac.
It came out in that NWO gear. I popped huge. I mean, it was just, I marked out. I have to say, 2002, after being with the company 17 years at that point, I marked out, man. Huge. Really marked out.
There's a great moment where everybody points to the stare down, right, at the start of that match.
Yeah.
You are such a consummate professional that you knew this was a big moment. Rock on the left, Hogan on the right.
Stood off to the side.
You stood off to the side.
That's right. That's true.
And I think that's such a nuance. It's such a small thing that a lot of people don't pick up on.
No, that's absolutely right, Chris. I mean, very few spots where I'd have to get into the center, but that moment is on them, and that's the one thing. Like, you don't want to. A referee shouldn't be in business for themselves. You have to focus that your talent's the draw, your talent's the thing. Now, if my scrawny ass got up in the middle and went, okay, I'm putting my face right there. It's just not right for the referee. You got to give that moment. To be honest with you, too, I froze because I was just marking out on the stare down and marking out on the crowd reaction.
I mean, it makes sense for the referee to be in the middle in something like UFC.
Right.
Where you are genuinely like trying to control these two fighters.
Yep.
But yeah, it was great though that you're such a professional that you allowed them to have that moment.
Right. Oh, thank you, Chris. Yeah.
And Hulk Hogan was telling me how he didn't know that the NWO was going to come out and beat him up after that.
Right.
And it was you that told him, like,
here they come.
Yeah, stay in the ring.
They're coming. Right. And his ribs were hurting. He was hurting a little bit.
But to think about that, that's Hulk Hogan going from being a bad guy for the year, however many years he was a bad guy with the NWO, to like about to turn face, and you're the one delivering the news to him.
Yeah, delivering the news is like, because they didn't expect the crowd back in Gorilla.
Yeah.
Whether it was Pat Patterson, Michael Hayes, Vince, everybody, they didn't expect that reaction. And I'm sure when they went through that whole reaction, it changed Hogan from heel to babyface again into the yellow and red trunks and all that, yellow trunks and and it was just they were probably going, oh shit, we should have put that match on last.
That may be the biggest misbooking in WWE or in WrestleMania history.
Right.
Just the idea of like, how is that not on last?
Well, yeah, I know. Well, you don't know, so I mean, and there was a title match. So you want a title match, but like that wasn't even a title match. It was just icon against icon,
And I don't even know this, and I kind of feel embarrassed not knowing this. Did you work other matches that night at WrestleMania 18?
No, I did not.
So you worked the match.
That match, yes.
Wow.
I stayed up. I was so pumped up. We stayed at the Sky Dome. I had this huge ass suite.
Oh,
and I remember I couldn't sleep. I couldn't get to sleep till like 5 a.m. I was just so wound up. Like, And I was like, man, I started having a couple drinks in my room, just trying to put myself to sleep. And I'm
You
like,
stayed at the Intercontinental inside of the.
Intercontinental,
Oh
yeah.
wow,
Yeah, Sky.
that's the one that when the Blue Jays play, you can like look
watch
out
it from the stadium.
Yes.
I had a glass window and it looked right into the stadium.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
so cool.
Yeah, it was an experience, man. And just the parts that I had to do in that match, it's just, of course, as a referee, you don't want to screw up any spots. And it's the one bump I had to take, with being on the outside with the chair. And then as Rock hits the ropes, I had to slide in and take the shoulder tackle like on point because, and that's what I was stressed about the most, is making sure this bump looks really good. And it's got to look like it just comes out of nowhere, not like it's pre-planned and everything. So in the spot and the bump just worked out so perfectly. I remember Rock was just, and Hogan was very happy about how the bump took place.